60s and below is either fair or poor, and that's usually where I range at. I don't know if it's looked into my bank account, but that's kind of about the same.
Like my
fair and
credit
poor.
score.
Yeah. Well,
It's only 2 digits. That's
Yes.
another episode.
Get ready, because you're listening to two nobodies talk about nothing on the number one podcast in their hearts, The JT and Drew Show.
Ooh, I'm loving that. Tell you what, girl, you gotta save the turtles, man.
Yeah, baby.
I'm quick, you weak. Consider yourself fired. Thanks for nothing.
This episode brought to you by the Solo Cup. Affiliate link not below.
it's not a solo cup. It's
Brought
not
to you by the off-brand Solo Cup.
a great value special. Probably Dollar Tree.
Welcome back to the studio.
Hey! Welcome back. Welcome back. That's so annoying. And my tit sweat is killing me. Shit. All right. Let's get. You ready to start?
Welcome back.
Yeah. Hey, thanks
Glad
for
to
having
have
me.
you here in the studio.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Yeah.
Did you get a new necklace?
Yeah. I sure did.
Nice. Is it a new shirt, by the way?
It's not.
Looks like a new color. It's like a powder blue. Lavender.
Yeah, it's on the last episode.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Golly, 10-second Tom over here.
Like a goldfish.
Ooh. Have the memory of an elephant.
That has amnesia.
Yeah, because I hear they have really good memories.
They do. And you don't.
I don't.
Not at all.
No.
This button's button.
I need to try that, those nootropics with the L-theanine in them.
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, good stress.
Yes, eustress.
No, good stress.
Yeah, that's the good stress is eustress.
No.
EU stress. That's-
EA Sports.
It's in the game. Or is it in the name?
Game.
It's in the game.
Yeah, you had it right.
I don't know about the name. It's not there, though.
EU Sports.
It's in the stress.
Yeah.
Speaking of being denied,
Listen, nobody said you were denied. We just asked you to go around.
wow, I see what you did there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you know anything about aircraft, flying, that kind of,
Components.
yeah, that kind of stuff.
Y'all.
Airplanes, believe it or not, they kind of stay in lanes when they're flying, right? It's not just like, hey, I fly, I'm in the open air, I can go this way or that way or whatever I want.
No, that's exactly how flying is.
Well, maybe when you fly.
Yeah.
Like you're piloting the aircraft. When I flew the one time, we just stayed straight.
And then he asked, did he put his blinker on to get over to the next lane?
No, he told me to go ahead and turn. And I looked at the stick because it was just a stick. Mm-hmm. And I said, I am. He says, no, go ahead and turn. I am! Because that plane was so small,
Yeah.
you could look at it and it would, like it was, you could just go, and you would feel like, oh my God!
You would feel, Ugh.
Yeah.
Me over here, I'd be like, oh no.
Barrel rolling and all
Yeah,
that
I
stuff.
would.
Oh. Yeah,
Like, this
no.
plane's not meant for this.
I've never white knuckled a dashboard. Like, I've always heard the term.
Yeah.
White knuckling the steering wheel or whatever.
Yeah.
I was on that dashboard. If you had pulled my body, like if I'd got sucked out of the plane, I was taking the dashboard with me. Okay. So anyways, all that to say, there are rules in the air.
Never heard of them, but okay.
There's certain airspace you're allowed in, certain airspace you're not allowed in, whether it's for like, hey, you can't fly over this area, it's a military base. Or
Restricted areas.
yeah,
or
restricted areas, all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. They don't want
yeah.
you flying over certain things.
G14 classified.
Yes.
If you know, you know.
Or GS6, either way. Which somebody received his step increase. Thank you.
Anyways.
Sorry, that was awkward.
Yeah.
I'm now the supervisor, so. Speaking of, where were you? We'll get back to that.
Yeah. Where were you March 13th?
Let's not go there. Subordinate. Airspace.
Air power.
Huh?
Space power.
Fly, fight, win.
AEF.
See, I never did the AEF part. I don't
Oh,
remember
really?
that.
Oh, yeah. That was a thing like in the beginning of the year when.
I remember doing the Airman's Creed,
Yep.
the Air Force song,
Uh-huh.
and then the Air Power Fly, Fight, Win.
Nope. We would get out of our barracks,
Yeah.
dorms, whatever. Run down, get on the pad. Everybody would do the Air Force song, Airman's Creed, and then we would air power, space power, AEF, and everybody would go, huh? And then we would run back up and make our beds. And then we'd get ready for chow.
Well, that sounds ridiculous.
That's basic training. It doesn't have to make sense. But what we need you to do is stay in your lane and not go into restricted areas.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there before. My lane. It's kind of like coloring, you know?
Is
You
it
wanna
like a
stay inside of it.
oral lane?
Orale. What's up, fool?
Yes.
So there were a couple civilian aircraft
Yeah.
that flew into restricted airspace. And this isn't something that doesn't happen all the time.
Right. I mean, it happens.
Yeah. However, this one kind of became a blip on our radar anyway,
Oh.
because this was very sensitive restricted airspace. We're talking about these civilian aircraft flying over President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Now, not the end of the world. However,
No.
when President Trump is not at the White House and he's at this residence, this is kind of like an extension of the White House.
Right.
So,
To include the space
yeah,
above the...
you got to figure the president is in a dome.
Yes.
Protected 365 security, up, down, sideways, below. I mean, all the things.
Yeah. It's like a big oval.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a big no-no.
Right. But not one that's going to get you arrested if it was an honest mistake.
Right. And there are plenty of warnings. So like in this case, it prompted a couple Air Force F-16s to scramble.
Ooh, okay.
So they launched, they met up with these civilian aircraft, and they released their flares. Kind of a warning shot, if you will. You know,
Okay.
we're not going to shoot at you, but hey, we're warning you. Like,
Yeah. Hey, see this sparkly thing right here?
yeah.
We're getting your attention.
And they can jump on the same radio frequencies as well and communicate with them like, hey, you need to leave, you need to turn this way or get
Yeah.
on this path, whatever. But so the fighter jets fired their flares to warn the pilots, and then they escorted them out of the area, which I'm sure, like if I'm flying a little Cessna or something and I have these two F-16s on either side of me, I probably peed a little bit.
Well, I think I would a little more is what I would add to that sentence
more?
because you would have peed a little bit taking off.
I would have peed a little bit getting into the seat and going, 1, oh my gosh, this is tiny. 2, oh my gosh, I actually fit.
This,
3, we got off the ground. Like, this thing generated lift with both of us in it. Like,
first of all, it's not a Triumph TR6.
yeah,
Like 2 whales and a 10 kg. You know, it's got a little bit of extra
that thing
space.
was crying a little bit, but it did well.
It did. It really did. But getting out of it was a puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah, this sits so low to the ground. I mean, option A was like lean sideways, use your momentum to jerk you this way and roll you out of the car.
But if you tried to get out first, then the car would tip and I was rolling out the same hole. So we did it at the same time.
It's got to be very calculated.
Yeah, it's terrible, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but pretty car. And if you don't know what a TR6 is, it's a British sports car from like the 70s.
Think of like a James Bond convertible little 2-seater, just real pretty to look at. It's cute.
Think about that and then disregard it because those are
It's Aston Martin.
Aston
isn't it?
Martin.
Yeah.
I wanted to call it an Austin Martin, but it's Aston Martin.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I've been through Austin.
I only went to the airport.
Really?
I've only been to the airport to pick
What took
someone
you
up.
there?
Someone I had to go pick up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you drove there, picked them up.
And then drove back. It was like a down and back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
But,
So F-16 escorted out.
Yeah.
Pilot's okay.
yeah, as far as I know, everything was good to go. They
Yeah. It was just
got him out of the area.
yeah, it was just like a bloop on the news where it was like, oh my goodness, somebody flew over Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, and according to NORAD, since January 20th, since the inauguration, since Trump became president,
Say that again.
NORAD?
NORAD. There you go.
NORAD?
No.
And NORAD,
Yeah.
it's NORAD. It's
NORAD.
cool.
No.
Anyways. Ooh, look at me. I'm teaching an English lesson in the middle of an episode. According to NORAD, according to NORAD, they have responded to over 20 tracks of interest entering the Palm Beach, Florida temporary flight restriction areas. So that means there have been over 20 incidences of people entering this restricted airspace.
Right. But how many pilots go around that area normally
Yeah.
to where now this is a restricted flying zone and maybe the software that they use to like plan their routes doesn't have that upgraded, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's lots of variables.
Yeah.
The software should be updated, 1. 2, they're in communications with the tower that'll tell them about restricted airspace
Yes.
and all this stuff. I think some of it, okay, like you mentioned, it's a new restricted area.
Yep.
I don't know if it was restricted prior to January 20th.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think people are intrigued. They're interested, hey, new president. Mar-a-Lago, maybe it's beautiful and we want to see it from the air and
Yeah.
we want to, take a tour of the city or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Who knows what their flight plan was. But they've got to be more aware and in their deliberate planning.
Right.
Again, when I was with a buddy and we flew that little plane, he was asking me, so he let me have the controls, right? I'm in charge, not really. And we were approaching restricted airspace. And so that's why he was telling me, okay, you got to turn. We don't want to get
Yeah.
over here. Okay, cool. And then when I wasn't turning because I was too afraid of it, he went ahead and took the controls back, and then we turned and I peed a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he was interested in like dropping a 10,000 feet per second, which isn't a thing, but in my mind, that's what it calculated to go chase waterfalls and clouds and this. If anybody asks you and you're in a little plane like that and they ask you, hey, do you want to go chase clouds? That's code. Okay. If you're a thrill seeker, go for it.
Yeah.
If you're not, just understand that
they're going to do it anyways.
They're going to do it anyways, and it's going to be a new experience.
Yeah. And could be a yellow experience or a brown experience.
And I'm not going to say that, I don't know. I feel like I should have got some combat wings after that. You know, we pulled some
Think
G's.
so? Really? Like
Yeah.
a half a G?
No, gosh, no, that's for babies. We went into these clouds. So one, you're in the cloud. And when you're in a small airplane like that, you have a front row seat. You know, when you're in a passenger plane, you have your little window to the side of you.
Yeah.
And you can see like, oh, we're in a cloud. Cool. But all you can see is the side or the side. Mm-hmm. In this plane, you see it's basically a little dome over you.
Yeah.
So you see above, you see in front, you see the sides. It's all just white. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
And then we're turning, and you can feel that. And we're turning, and you can feel that. We pulled a whole G. Again, I was ready to pull that dashboard off. And I was sitting there, and it lasted probably like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But it felt like an hour.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, hey, okay, yeah, that was pretty good. How'd you do? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, that was nothing. So, we going to land yet? But see, the juxtaposition, if that's the right way, I love flying. Like, I love being in the air, traveling as a passenger or whatever. Like, I enjoy it. I love the takeoffs. I love the landings.
Okay.
Not a huge fan of the turbulence, but it doesn't bother me like it bothers some people.
Right.
I feel safe in an airplane.
Okay.
I asked the question when we were flying, you know, what happens if the engine was to shut off? Stupid question. Don't ever ask a pilot that.
Why not? Tell us.
Because he turned the engine off.
Yeah. And was like, hey, look, we're gliding.
Yeah, no, the plane still flies. Same thing they told me in motorcycle class.
Yeah.
The bike wants to stay up and wants to keep moving.
Correct.
It doesn't naturally want to just...
Yeah.
It's like the plane doesn't want to just fall out of the sky.
No.
It'll keep going.
But in your mind, it does. Like,
Yeah.
And once the engine stops, you're like, because cartoons, right?
Right.
But no, they glide. And Cessnas with the wings being on top, just like C-130s or the C-5s or whatever, the wings are on top of the fuselage. Best gliding ever.
Well, this one, the wings were below.
Well, then yours is wrong. But
Great experience, though.
Yeah.
Would do again.
yeah, but so you would think that planes you could track with like a GPS, like on your phone, or like if you had an app on your smartwatch or something like that. Like you figured like you could track that
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, that's a... Didn't you find a
Oh yeah, but I'm just sitting here trying to think of it. It was like flight something 24
flight tracker?
flight track. Is it flight tracker?
I think it's flight tracker.
Okay, Flight Tracker 24. Yeah, because a lot of Drew and I were looking at maybe getting our pilot's license and wanted to go up for what do they call them? Like your initial flight, kind of like, oh hey, you're interested, but
Yeah, Discovery flight.
Discovery flight. We were looking at maybe doing something like that, and you know, I wouldn't say we're dissatisfied with our current position, but looking at other opportunities to maybe get a career where we want to be at.
Yeah.
And that was one of the avenues that we were interested in, but obviously we never made it happen to this point today.
Right.
Maybe in the future, but you know, right now we're just trying to lay low with Doge and all that. I don't know about you, but I am. So,
Yeah.
but FlightTracker24.com was not affiliated at all, but was one of those avenues that we would learn. And because sometimes they would have like little tips or little things on there that you could read up on, and just watching the radar over like
so
a Google map.
It's a live tracker.
Yeah. Well, in a sense of what really could be live, right? Like it's the most up to date it can be.
Right.
It's not going to be like 100% all the time.
Few second delay or whatever.
Yeah.
But it may not track every single flight. But
Right.
the flights that are tracked that are on there, I mean, there's a ton, and you can look at it anywhere in the world. We've looked at it in our local area, and you could see the planes in and around our regional airport.
Yes.
Ones that are taken, you could see their pattern. It shows you their origin all the way to their destination, so you can see what route they've flown, their current altitude, their speed, the model, if it's a passenger plane, cargo, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you can go on there. Like, again, we have a little regional airport here, and you could tell, like, oh, these guys are training.
Yeah.
Because it says it's a little Cessna. Maybe they've made 3 or 4 circles.
Yeah, or a figure 8 or something.
So it's really neat. If you're into aviation,
Yeah.
definitely recommend checking that out.
Yeah, because that's a good tool that you can use in the beginning.
Yeah.
So, but
We even use that along with Google Maps and whatnot
Yep.
to plan our future cross-country trips.
yeah, we did. We sure did.
Yep.
And one day we'll make it happen.
Yes, sir.
Because you start out with a pilot's license, and then you go into instructor to get the hours,
Yeah.
and then you go for like your commercial license or your jet certification or whatever it is.
Yeah, there's so many ratings you can get after that.
Yeah. But I think the discouraging thing, at least for me personally, is I'm already up in age, right? And I don't know if I have a lot of time to be getting that. Like, is it going to take 10 years to get hours? Well, it could if I don't have the ability to fly every day.
Yeah, it really depends on
do
your budget and
Do I have 10 years to spare in order to maybe potentially become a FedEx pilot or a UPS UPS as the kids say, UPS pilot?
because there's avenues where they'll take you from like zero experience, you don't know anything,
Yeah.
all the way to your commercial license,
Yes.
and as little as like 6 months.
Right.
And I mean, that sounds amazing.
Yes.
But it also comes with a hefty price tag. And you look at that and you're like, holy cow.
That wasn't the last one we looked at, like 120,000.
Yeah. From zero to hero,
Yeah.
120,000. And that puts you at the point in your new career to, like you said, you're an instructor now. Take a couple years, gain your hours so that you can apply to the major airlines or the regionals or whatever. And you start out at the regionals, usually get some more hours, get some seniority. And then after a couple years of that, you hit a point in your career where the regionals may offer you captain,
Yep.
or maybe you can sign on with a bigger airline at
Right.
an international airport or something. But again, all that flying is great. And even when you're an instructor and you've got students, but there's still costs associated and maintenance and like you said, renting the plane or hours or fuel or this, or it can add up.
Yeah.
And for me, that was one of the factors as well. Looking at the private pilot, it's like, the private pilot, I mean, you could knock out in 6 weeks. You
Yeah.
could knock out in a couple months,
Yep.
depending on your schedule, the instructor's availability, your budget. But they average around $10,000, $5,000 to $10,000, depends how much extra time you need in the seat.
Right.
And how much time you need with the instructor. But yeah, it's something that's just it's so fascinating to me.
Right.
Like when we got our motorcycle licenses, for me, I just felt like, man, I own the road. And not that like I'm all over it and I'm lane splitting and being a jerk.
Yeah.
But it's, I'm a lot more observant. I'm paying attention to my surroundings. I pick up more than I do when I'm driving a car. It felt very liberating. And I can only imagine that tenfold being in the air.
Exactly. And the sky, no one around you, and you're going, as they say in the radio world, as the crow flies, instead of twisting and turning on a road and having the hazards of things. You're just in the air. You're going from point A to point B in a straight line, or as straight as you can be.
A couple of things that really get me, though, that scare the poop out of me, are some of the training.
Yep.
Like when you have to do stall training. So you have to put the plane into a stall, have it come down so that you can recover from it. Because if you're in that situation, how do you get yourself out of it?
Yeah. You need to know.
And I'm more of the, well, if I get myself in that situation, I guess it's my time. Adios.
No, sir.
Banzai!
But at least we'll be able to track you from GPS.
Yeah.
So-
Well, there's Drew. How do you know that plane's falling out of the sky?
Yeah, the altitude is 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 2 ground level.
Yeah. Yeah. Now see that black cloud over there? Yeah. Drew's in the middle of it.
Yeah,
But yeah, very, very fascinating stuff. And
of course.
something that you hit on a few minutes ago, using a smartwatch
Yeah.
to like the apps and stuff to track that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Smartwatches have come a long way.
Listen, the only smartwatch that I can think of, like back in the day, and everybody wanted one, was the calculator watch.
Oh yeah, my grandpa had one.
So that's
Was it
when
Casio or Timex or
Timex, I think. But that's the one that when I walked into like Walmart, the original Walmart without the groceries,
yeah.
and you went to the fancy jewelry section and you saw that watch, and you're like, oh, one day I'm going to get you. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you could sit there and
Yeah, you'd be like, and then later on, like say middle school or something, they're like, oh, you're not allowed to have a calculator watch. I'm like, well, good thing I can't afford it. So, but yeah, so in my head, that's where smartwatches start from.
yeah.
I could be completely wrong, but you know, how did we get the cell phone? Started out like a brick.
Yeah.
So to what we have now, which is the smartphones, touchscreen and all that. But yeah, smartwatches have come a long way.
Yeah. And you recently
I did. I
the
recently,
club.
I did. I joined the club, and I asked Drew all the time, where's your smartwatch? And he's like, it's in my dresser. And then didn't charge it.
Drew forgets to charge it.
Drew forgets a lot of things.
Yes. Yes, he does. But when it is charged, I enjoy wearing it.
Yeah, so I charge mine twice a day. Once when I wake up in the morning, and then once right before I go to bed, because I love the numbers. So I'm coming to find out that I love numbers.
The analytics of it.
Yeah, so I have and you're gonna laugh at me, but I have the Google Watch. So because I have a Google phone.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I know what you're thinking. So stop now, before you get yourself.
I already
in
said it in my head.
But this is the Google Watch 2 with Fitbit. And so apparently I joined Fitbit back in 2020 because
Okay.
I was trying to not eat. I was trying to lose weight
Yeah.
because I was almost 300 pounds.
Oh, wow.
In the 2020-ish time frame.
Yeah.
So,
Coronavirus.
yeah. So once that happened and I didn't work out, I got this, and then Fitbit reminded me, oh, hey, you already have an account. Okay, great. But what's really good with Fitbit, I guess now, is that it tracks your sleeping. And I'm a morning person, but I'm an irritated morning person. Like, I hate being up early, but I have to be up early.
Your clock is just, you're on.
Yeah, I'm on, but I hate it. So, but that tells me, Fitbit tells me how good of a sleep I got. And I've only ranked in the 80s one time. Everything else is 60 and below. So
80s and above being good sleep.
yeah, so like 70s and above is okay.
Okay.
60s and below is either fair or poor, and that's usually where I range at. I don't know if it's looked into my bank account, but that's kind of about the same.
Like my
fair and
credit
poor.
score.
Yeah. Well,
It's only 2 digits. That's
Yes.
another episode.
yeah.
If I can afford it.
You can. But yeah, so I've come that I've liked the numbers. And also I like the fact that so at work I get like an hour lunch, right? 'Cause,
Yeah.
30-minute lunch, 2 15-minute breaks, you can combine it all.
Sure.
Get an hour lunch. So I eat lunch fairly quickly. But what I like to do is I like to take a walk after for about 20 minutes and just kind of do like a mile or less. It's
Okay.
kind of where I gauge it at. Kind of helps, you read stuff online. You don't know if it's true or not, but like if you walk after a meal, it helps your body digest and absorb more of those nutrients and kind of push out the fat
Okay.
in those foods. So I've noticed a change in my mood. Like, hey, I'm a little happier at the end of the day instead of groggy and miserable about 2:00 where I normally was.
What is that when you exercise, your endorphins?
Yeah, your endorphins.
So maybe that walk is...
Possibly. I personally think it just re-energizes because you usually get like the 2:00 slumbers, and at least I do.
Well, and with you, and I'm going to
Yeah,
put it out there,
please don't.
but with you, well, with both of us, really, we're borderline workaholic.
Yeah,
It's hard to get away because there's always something to be done or
Yes.
something that can be done.
yes,
Even if there's not a hot task that came down, it's, well, I've done this, but I'm forecasting this is going to be an issue, so let me go ahead and take care of it now.
yeah,
So this is a healthy break, too.
yes.
It's forcing you to, let me get up, step away for a minute,
Yep.
and like you said, recharge.
Yeah, recharge, regenerate. More of the regenerate the energy.
Yeah.
Regenerate the mental thing, the mindset.
A little reset.
Yeah, yeah. But mine's more of the energy aspect. Like, how do I not try to fall asleep at 2:00?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I do it. But then it tells you, obviously, if anyone has a Fitbit, you know all this information, and I'm just kind of preaching to the choir. But you get your steps in, right? Like, oh, I get my steps in. Look at me. Oh.
Yeah.
I see those, and of course, I'm falling into the trap because it's numbers. And oh, look, hey, I did better yesterday than I am doing today. Let me see if I can do a little bit more walking so I can be better today, and then I'll kind of gain those numbers up tomorrow. But then I see, like on the app, it calculates like, hey, you did 3,200 steps on Monday, and then on Tuesday you did 3,600 steps, and blah. And so I always try to keep it going.
So there's a psychological element.
Yes, but I'm falling again. I'm falling into that trap, but it's all due to the smartwatch. Like my phone doesn't do that.
Yeah.
So
So it's like there's some positive reinforcement.
there is, but it can turn into the negative if you're like me and you get really addicted to the numbers, and the numbers start going down. You're like, well, I'll never do this again, and like kick things.
This sucks.
Yeah, I hate my life. When I turn into a
I got
16-year-old
32
girl.
yesterday and only 3 today.
Yeah. Yeah, well, must be because of the donuts.
I'm going to go return this watch.
Yeah, it can be like anything. It can be addicting, and
Sure,
if you're not hitting your mile markers that you want, you can be very frustrating.
So that's interesting. So obviously it's helping with the physical health,
Yes.
but also with the mental health, like you said, the psychological aspect there, kind of following those metrics, getting motivated by that, which is in turn upping the physical activity. But I mean, it's also making a behavioral change. You're okay at my lunch hour. I'm changing what I do daily.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat. I'm going to walk. Or like the other day when we met up for lunch. Okay, I'm going to walk to lunch and then I'm going to walk back.
Right.
So you're instituting some new behaviors, kind of domino affecting. One thing affects the other, which affects the other,
Right.
so on and
Which,
so forth.
I've lost some weight.
It's good.
Yeah. Which is ultimately the goal, right? Just keep doing whatever I need to do, and kind of manipulate it here or there to maybe kind of better the outcome.
Do you have a goal, or is it just I'm just want to lose weight, period? Or is it like, man, I'm setting a goal up, 6 months from now, here's my target. I'm going to do little by little every day. And
Yeah, well, I have a set weight that I want to be at,
okay.
which is about 160, 165.
Okay. So
kinda-
only about 300 pounds to go.
Yeah, pretty much. It feels like it. But yeah, so I about 160, 165. However, the weight that I'm at now, I'm comfortable with starting to do like weightlifting or things like that, because, the fat walking can only take me so far.
Yes.
I've got to work on the physical aspect too. So I'm losing muscle mass in my arms.
Yeah.
I want to regain that. Now I know that muscle weighs more than fat, so I'm going to go back up a little bit, but I'll always try to keep the cardio.
Well, and with that, some experts say that the weightlifting, you burn more calories. And again, it depends on what you're doing, right? If you just
Right.
go in there and I'm going to pick up the 5 pounds and just go through the motions,
Yeah.
that may be a little different. But if you're sweating, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying you got to go in there and put, hey, let's throw 400 pounds on the barbell.
Right.
But if you go in there and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to start with some 15-pound dumbbells. And then next week I want to be on the 20 to 25.
Right.
Or I'm going to start benching. Let's just throw one plate on either side and then work up.
Well, not me. I'll have to start at the bar.
Start at the bar. And then
'Cause
work
you
up
gotta
to the
start
2.5
somewhere.
pounds. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm almost 40.
Yeah. Oh,
So I know, but it's I've gotten to the point where, hey, I've got maybe another,
5 years.
20 or 20 or 25 years left potentially.
Yeah.
Because I was not taking care of my body or anything like that. So
it's never too late to start.
yeah, it's never too late to start, but I might have already taken some years off. However, if I can start now, maybe I can add some months or
Yeah,
days
absolutely.
back to it. So,
Absolutely. You know?
and my first thing was smoking.
Yes.
Hey, cut out the big habit. Okay, now I got to cut out the next big habit, which is sugar, right? Because daddy loves some sugar. But cut that out or cut it down, because obviously you can't cut everything. So you start
Right.
moderations. And then, so I cut sugar down a little bit. So then I have to, okay, well, now I've got to start something else. So now I go walking. And so then the next one will be, okay, weightlifting. And then the next one will integrate weightlifting into cardio. So then I'll have like a cardio day and then a workout day and then a cardio day and a workout, because I never want to stop with the cardio. So, and then that way I can get back to maybe where I was, and then I can get to my goal sooner.
Yeah.
But everything's got to be in moderation, because I know that I'm a person that once I hit it really hard. And if I don't see the results right there, I give up right then and there. So
and the hard part with that too, for men especially, we tend to see that initial change
Yep.
quicker. So maybe you hit it hard, and after a month, you're like, oh man, this is great. Like, I'm feeling better. I'm looking better. You get into that second month and you're like, I'm not seeing as much improvement as I did the first month.
you see that plateau,
Yeah.
and then it's kind of not depressing, but it's
That initial jump start, you will see great things.
yeah.
But you just got to keep it up.
Yeah, and that's the hard part, where it's like, okay, well, I'm not seeing the results, so if I'm not seeing anything, why should I? However, I do like when I give advice for working out, because obviously I've worked out before. We were in the military. We had to.
Yeah.
That was a standard. But giving advice to people who are just starting out working out, where I'll say, hey, you're going to see a plateau. Do not give up.
Yeah.
But I can't take that same advice.
Oh, of course, that goes with anything.
Yeah.
I'm great at dishing it, but then when it applies to me, I have a lot harder time. Like, I can tell you all day the keys to success and this and that and
Yep.
whatever your endeavor is, and then I'll sit there and be barely treading water myself, and it's like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And I know the answers to the test, but it's harder to implement them for myself
Exactly.
because, well, I can't get away at lunch.
Yeah.
I've got this thing I got to do, and I got that I got to do, and
Well, speaking of, you brought up our last lunch,
yeah,
which was yesterday, right? So I walked to the destination. We had lunch, and then I walked back.
yeah,
And you were walking to your vehicle, and I was going to start walking back, you had said, or I had told you, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't you walk to me? We walk to this place, and then we walk back. And you were like, hey, great idea.
yeah.
But because I suggested it, maybe you were more adamant to do it, instead of you saying, yeah, I kind of really need to get out. I don't really want to, but maybe it's a...
Right.
And that's where I feel as frustrated as you and I probably get at each other. I know probably me more than you. But we obviously, you and me have already been through a lot, so
Yeah.
nothing's tearing this apart. But because we're too fat, but but we work well off of each other, and we work well with criticism. And,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
helping
I had
each
you
other
to the
out.
point where you passed out on a track and I was still yelling at you.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And we're still friends.
Yeah.
So,
And you left,
yeah.
and then let me know when you got back.
Yeah.
Jerk.
Yeah, there was that. There was that.
But hey, man, it was a great talk. Smartwatches, getting back to it, smartwatches. If you want to start somewhere and you're like me, 30-year-old woman who has to buy something to get motivated, start with a smartwatch, but then set your goals.
Yes.
Set them and don't get discouraged. Email us. Let us know. We will design a workout plan for you that you will throw in the garbage and say, this will never work. And then you take it back out of the garbage and you'll lose so much weight.
We didn't always used to look like JT. I can't look back that way right
You're
now.
a fucking marshmallow, you shit.
Huh?
You're a jumbo marshmallow.
Oh, yeah, pretty much. Thinking more
Just want
Michelin
to
Man,
stick a stick up your ass and roast you over a fire.
gosh. I'm going to have to edit that. Beep, beep. But yeah, no, like he said before, we were in the military. We were doing the PT
Yeah.
every day. It is possible. I remember coming back from my first deployment. I was round. While I was out there, I was working out, but I had the bright idea, protein. Everybody's doing the
Yeah.
protein and the NO explode at the time. That was
Yeah.
the hot stuff. But I was like, well, what if I double protein? Right? What if I double scoop it? And these were already big scoops.
Yeah.
And I was using the whole milk from the DFAC.
Oh, okay.
Drink a little bit, make some room, throw 2 scoops of powder in there
Shake it and
every
go.
day. Going to the gym and lifting and doing that. And I came back and I was stronger, but I was rounder.
Yeah.
And I failed a PT test. I failed my run time.
Okay.
And at that time, my supervisor was like, all right, we're going to the gym at lunch every day
Yep.
until you pass. So that motivated me, 1, because I failed and I felt like a POS.
Yep.
2, well, shoot, now my supervisor is having to micromanage me. That's a terrible feeling.
Yep.
So we're in the gym at lunch, and then I would go after work, right after work, and do like a spin class or something. Within 2 months, maybe a little less than 2 months actually, I had dropped like 20 to 30 pounds. But it was like, I was just skinny.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing a lot of lifting. I was just cardio.
Yep.
Like you said, lost some muscle mass, got skinny. I looked, like spaghetti wearing a t-shirt kind of thing. When I was living in Hawaii, my wife was here finishing up her grad school. So I had a lot of time on my hands. So I'd go to work. Sometimes I would go to the gym at lunch because it was across the street. But when I got home, I would work out in the little neighborhood gym.
Yeah.
But I'd be there like 2 hours every night, just like going to church. It was like a religious schedule. Every night, 2 hours. I was in there. I was lifting. I was doing cardio. And I got skinny, but I was toned.
Okay.
But I struggled with, like there and on my second deployment, I struggled with putting weight on
Yeah.
and like building the hump and the bicep and the big chest and everything. It was just like, I'm getting stronger. I'm skinny, but I can't put that size on.
Yeah.
And what I was failing to do was eat enough.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, like when you look at these bodybuilders and these physique competitions and stuff, man, these people eat
Yeah, they do, but they eat high protein.
high protein. And that's what one of the guys was saying is you don't need to be out there buying protein powder and this
No.
and this and this. You need to be eating your chicken, eating your ramen,
Eating your steak. Eating
your eggs.
Yeah.
And it's not just, okay, well, I'll have eggs for breakfast and a chicken for lunch and a steak for dinner. It's like 6 meals. First meal is 6 eggs, a bowl of rice, and 2 ramen noodles. And it's like,
Yeah.
How do you do this? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm fat, but I couldn't keep up.
No, I couldn't do that either.
So you got to find that balance.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. But there are just some people. There are just some people that are genetically can't build the mass.
Yeah.
You know, well, it doesn't matter what you do, but you can be super strong.
Oh, yeah.
So
I remember these kids in middle school where I grew up. We had a lot of Tongans, Samoans, Hawaiians. And, I mean, you're talking junior high age kids, 300, 350 pounds,
yeah,
big boys, but they're in there pushing over 300 something pounds
Yeah.
on the press and whatnot. And, I mean, they were strong.
right. But
Big.
they probably the Samoans that I met, they don't look toned, but they don't look fat.
Yeah, they're just big.
They're just big, and going up against them on the football line, you were gonna get eaten.
Oh, yeah, I had my feet fractured
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
at the same time, both of them.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
But it was still fun.
Oh, yeah.
But all that to say, smartwatches have incredible capabilities. Your fitness tracking, your sleep tracking. You can take your phone calls. I know some of them, like my Apple Watch, for example, I could set my phone, say I want to take a picture of us at this weird angle. I could set my phone up over there to capture both of us, but how do I take the picture? Oh, well, let me pull up the camera app, and okay, I can snap the picture from my watch.
Nice. I don't know if I have the capability to do it. I haven't unlocked all the potential of this watch.
Yeah.
I've only unlocked what I use.
Sure.
So, like, I can see incoming calls. I can text people back, but I only will text if I can do voice to speech or if I can do emojis. So,
Check your emails. You could do that.
oh no. Yeah, we're not doing. I have no.
Listen to music.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Check
either.
your heart rate.
The volume on this thing isn't very high. It could be. I don't know how to turn it up, but it could be.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
You can customize your face watches.
Yeah, so
Change your bands.
So okay, so face the
Yeah, the
face
faces.
one. Drew knows that I'm a huge fan of Fallout, and on this particular watch model, and I'm sure you can do it on others too. They had a Fallout style for this particular watch, and so I bought it because you had to buy it, and I put it on here. However, I had already tweaked the watch face, the way that I liked it, that I had to take it off and put what I originally had back on because that one didn't give me customizable tiles, I think they're called.
Okay.
And every time it was on, it would drain the battery a lot more. So I was like, no, I have it, and it's great. So not to say that it's not a good app to have, it didn't work out for me.
Yeah, for what you want to when you
Pit
check
Boy.
your stats.
Yeah, like it was a Pit Boy style. So if you know anything about Fallout, it's just the menu on the arm when you check your stuff. But it's a great app. But anyways, I had this all set up to the way that I wanted it. It gives me my steps, it gives me the current weather, and it gives my heart rate. And that's literally the time and the date, and that's literally all I need.
Yeah.
So everything else is like extra. So, and it works well with Fitbit.
Yeah. So I guess some of the bad then or whatnot could be there's a learning curve on smartwatches,
I think for the older generation there is.
and then possibly battery life.
Yes. So, like I said, I charge mine twice a day, and a lot of people are going to say, well, that's a little obsessive. And it is. Like when I get home, when I work all day and I get home, after I put the little one down for bed, I put this thing on the charger for like an hour, maybe. And then I'll take it off and I'll wear it for night. And then I put it back on the charger when I wake up, doing my morning routine, like, making her lunch and things like that. Right before I walk out, I'll take it off the charger and I'll put it back on. Because usually from after work to nighttime, I'll come home before I put it on the charger. It'll be at like 50 or 60%. And then I before I go to bed, it'll bring it up to like 99%. So it's not all like right at 100.
Yeah.
So then when I take it off to charge it in the morning, I'm at like 80%. So
You could go just charging it once a day. However,
I could.
the night tracking is important to you.
Yes. My
You want to
sleep.
make sure.
Yes. I want to make sure that I've got enough juice for the nighttime to give me my score. So
Do you ever find that your watch is distracting?
no.
No.
So that's what I thought. It took me years to like go, okay, maybe like when smartwatches first came out, like the first generations, I was like, I'll let them figure all the bugs out,
Yeah.
and then I'll pick one up, like either on the second gen or whatever, when I'm ready. So I think now they're on either like the third or fourth gen of smartwatches, and I grabbed the second gen because it's on sale, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So, but I thought I'm not a watch guy. Like I don't like watches, and it's not a thing. This thing is so comfortable, I forget I have it on.
There you go.
So, which boggles my mind on that. There was something else that I had that I keep forgetting it's on too.
Well, I was watching a podcast recently, and they were talking a little bit about smartwatches and phones. And one of the guys, he's talking about how he likes it because he can check it and everything.
Yeah.
And the other guy asked him, he goes, but you have a phone. He's like, yeah, but like if we're having a conversation like we are now, and say I get a notification or something, I can just do this real quick. And I'm not having to like be rude and pull my phone out, and I'm sitting here like this. And he's like, yeah, but you're still looking at your watch.
Right.
It's like, yeah, but it's not the same. So they were trying to, I guess, devil's advocate, like,
Yeah.
what's the difference?
Well, yeah, I think the difference would be is that this is real quick.
Yeah.
It takes me
A little more
about
subtle.
Yeah, it takes me a little, like 5 seconds. To whereas this, my phone's always in my pocket instead of me having to, hold on, grab it. And, okay, yeah. Then I just set it down.
Well, and I think in a social setting, it's more like if we're talking and then you see me do this and you're still talking to me and I'm over here, now you're thinking like, okay, he's not paying attention.
Yeah.
Is he listening? Is he not? Versus we're talking and you just, okay, it's not important.
Yeah. But that could even be misconstrued as, God, this person's taking so long. Ooh,
Sure.
Could be taken as that as well. I think it's just a generational thing.
Yeah.
So maybe. Maybe. But speaking of battery life, there are smartwatches out there that'll last a week.
Yeah.
However, they're about $700 to $1,000.
And they don't have some of the same features. Like I know I've seen some of the Garmin ones that advertise lasting a week or so. But for something like that, I think you're wearing it more, well, for your fitness, maybe like people that do triathlons or a lot of hiking, try and track altitudes, things like that. It's not necessarily for the same apps, the same reasons.
Right. So I had a Garmin smartwatch that was actually my first smartwatch, was that one.
Yeah.
And I wore it for maybe a couple of months, and then I just threw it in the drawer because I just couldn't personalize my messages if I needed to send anything back. Other than that, it was a great watch. It lasted 4 or 5 days on one charge. So, and it told me the time and all that. Right now, it's with my oldest.
Okay.
So he uses it, but he's found a way, I guess there was an upgrade at some point, where you can go in and set up like auto replies. Because it was like, yes, no, or give me a minute, or I'll call you in just a minute, or what. He found a way that you can go in and personalize those.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So again, a generational thing, but yeah. So, and he loves it because when he can wear it for school, looks like a normal watch, all digital and whatever. When he gets home, it reconnects us to his phone. So whatever data he's got during the day that it held, it'll connect to the phone and then download into the app. So
there was a scene, I don't know if you've seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall. But there's a scene in the movie, they're in Hawaii. This guy's getting a surf lesson. and they're just kind of chatting while they're waiting on a wave. And the guy's like, yeah, I stopped wearing a watch when I moved to Hawaii. And the guy getting the lesson is like, wow, that's so cool. You know, that's so deep. Like, he's like, no, I mean, I just stopped wearing a watch because, like, I've got my phone, you know. But it was a real funny concept, you know, like, you see some folks that run around and, yeah, okay, maybe they're not wearing watches. Like, not like we used to, right? 10,
Right.
15, 20 years ago,
years,
it was
yeah.
a lot more, oh, I've got my Fossil or my Citizen
Yeah.
or my whatever.
My Timex.
Yeah. But
2 times 2.
yeah. But, you know, with the development of the smartphone and the technology, and even now, like with the smartwatches, that's an extension of your phone,
Yeah.
you know. But it's just, it adds a layer of convenience.
I'll end on this.
Yeah.
You're right. It does add a layer of convenience, but I'll end on this. This is the gateway drug to a computer chip in your brain.
Ooh.
Because once you can see it scroll through your eyes, there's no going back.
Don't they have glasses like that?
Yeah, but what if you don't want glasses?
Yeah. What if you don't want to wear them, or what if you forget them, or what if you don't charge them?
So, computer chip in the brain is next. And you'll forget to charge that, and you'll be dead.
Yikes.
Anyways, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I meant these guys for stopping by, not you. You don't have a choice.
Thanks for watching us.
Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, all the great fun things. We will see you later.
Bye.
Bye. As always, we'd like to say thank you for stopping by and listening to the podcast.
Yeah, we realized that you could have been doing anything way more productive, but you chose to waste your time with us.
We look forward to talking about absolutely nothing with you next time.
If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please email us at
jtandrewshow@gmail.com or visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/JTDrewShow.